What determines which party is at fault?
Well, what determines fault in automobile accident cases is basically the circumstances. In other words, how did the crash occur? Did someone have a green light? Did someone have a red light? Was there a yield sign there? If it wasn't an intersection case, for instance, let's say it's a straightaway case, if there's an overtaking problem or failure to yield or failure to move to the right if necessary. There's so many different circumstances which go into how you determine fault in cases, but the actual physical injury and damage that the cars sustain are oftentimes very telling as to how accidents occur. And we use this information to try to find and determine whose fault it is.
What happens if I am the victim of a hit-and-run accident?
Well, a hit-and-run accident is not unlike an uninsured vehicle claim. If you cannot determine who the person was that obviously took off, and usually that is the case, sometimes later we oftentimes can find out who that is, but through investigation. But if it can't be determined, then it falls under an underinsured claim, and you would just process it against your own insurance company.
If I am injured, who pays my medical bills if I am the one at fault?
Well, if you're at fault, your medical bills will be paid for through your own insurance carrier and what is called the PIP provisions. That stands for Personal Injury Protection Benefits. So so-called PIP benefits are part of the no-fault system that we have left in Massachusetts. It's a very small sliver of the no-fault system, but we have that in Massachusetts, where your medical benefits will be paid for by your own insurance carrier. And now, it's a little complex how that works, but you first would bill against your own PIP carrier, that is your auto carrier, and then what the PIP carrier doesn't cover, you would bill against your private health care carrier, and what they don't pay, you go back to the PIP for the remaining of the balance there. So it's a little complex, but if you hire an attorney or if you work through your agent, someone should be able to guide you through that process.
Is it necessary to call an attorney if I have been in an auto accident?
Well, you don't have to by law by any means. You can certainly handle it yourself. I would venture to say that 90+% of the auto accidents, they have attorneys involved because it is a complex process. Determining fault, for instance, processing PIP applications, uninsured claims, underinsured claims. These are things that people they're typically not familiar with, and ultimately, if you can't resolve your case by way of settlement with the insurance companies, then you're going to end up going to court. And that is a very, very daunting task. And I think to go to court on a case, an automobile case, without an attorney would be really foolhardy. So you don't have to hire a lawyer, but you're best suited hiring a lawyer. And the beautiful thing about that is if the lawyer doesn't get you any money, you don't pay the lawyer a fee. So it's really a no-risk situation for you as the driving public.
How long will it take to settle my auto accident case?
Well, settlement varies widely. The number one issue which drives settlements, at least in my opinion, is how badly are you injured? What's the extent of your injuries? And we don't like to settle cases or resolve cases unless we know that you've reached what we call medical end result and what we call maximum medical improvement. In other words, you're as good as you're going to get. You had an injury, and let's hope you're back to 100%. But we need to know if there's any sort of an impairment, a permanent impairment you may have sustained, so that we can get you the amount of money that you should be entitled to. So the number one issue which drives the length of settlements is really how badly injured you are. Because there are other factors as well. Fault being one. We have to determine fault. Investigation. How long is it going to take to get the investigation done? But generally speaking, it will be driven by the length of time. Most accidents usually resolve within 1 or 2 years' time of the accident if there is no permanent damage.
What should I do if the other party's insurance company contacts me directly?
Well, if you have an attorney, just direct that insurance company to your attorney. Just say you have an attorney, and please call him and give them the number. But if they do call you and you don't have an attorney, my advice to you is to say very little. Try to tease from them what it is they're asking about, and then think about that. Just don't give a knee-jerk reaction to the questions they may ask. Think about what it is you're going to say, because If your case develops into a much larger case than you originally had thought, and this oftentimes happens where people get injured in an automobile case, an accident, and their injuries get progressive. If that's the situation, you don't want to be making statements early on in the process which are going to come back to haunt you. In the law business, we call this an admission against your interest. But sometimes statements that are made very honestly are construed by insurance carriers to mean something quite different. So you want to be very careful as to what you say and to whom you say it.
Thanks for watching Part 3 of Auto Accident Answers. If you have specific questions for Attorney Brady regarding your case, give our office a call at 508-660-8888.